Hey guys, it's me, it's QueenAusetHeru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to anybody and everybody who might like it as well. Please let us know in the comment section which one of these decks is your favorite. And if you would like to get a reading done, I would love to give you a reading. Please email me or hit me up on social media. Likewise, all that information is underneath this video. If you would like to become a patron on Patreon, if you would like to send me a gift from my Amazon wish list, any of that information is indeed underneath this video. All right, guys, so today we're going to do a really fun hashtag. This is a tarot hashtag, and it is called 7 Decks for Heavenly Virtues by Antonia's Bliss. That's the name of her channel, Antonia's Bliss. And it's really fun. I like the idea of it, so I was like, ooh, this is cute. For each one, we have 7 categories, and each one is a different virtue. And we have to say which deck goes into that virtue. So for my very first one, I have, let me see, what did she say? She said prudence. The first virtue is prudence. And this is a deck that is in your collection that is practical and all-purpose. Now for this prudence deck, I will have to go with my Tarot of the Divine. This tarot is very well known. A lot of you watching it, I'm sure, may have seen it or may even have it. And the reason why I feel like this deck is my all-purpose deck is because, let me get the glare off. Ooh, it's glary, people. It's really glary. There. The reason why is because I can use this deck with anybody. We have women. We have spiritual systems that the whole world is familiar with. Who isn't familiar with Mother Mary? You know? So I can use this with men. I can use it with women. I can use it with different cultures. This particular deck has something from, I don't know if it's every culture, but most of the cultures around the world, there's a fairy tale or a mythology or something that you see depicted in these cards. So if I am reading somebody from Japan, for example, they're going to recognize, some of them will recognize these stories, these mythologies, and they have them from everywhere. Africa, Europe, United States, everywhere there's these stories. And this one here, like, the diversity is what really drives it home, because when I go to read somebody, I don't have to worry about them being offended or not seeing themselves in the cards. That's important to some people. There's older people, as we can see here. This gentleman is older, and a lot of cards leave older people out, which is very unfortunate. And here's an older lady. I love her. She's so fun and happy looking. You know, so I can use this deck with anybody. And also, this deck is not off-putting. Some decks are a little intense or a little boring, depending upon what deck you're looking at. But I'm thinking more of the intense ones. Some decks are a little intense. And sometimes my clients are looking at the cards like, what the heck is that? You don't want your clients scared of the images, you know? And these images are not frightening at all. This is Yin and Ya. I love Yin and Ya from the Nigerian Yoruba tradition. So, like I said, you have these, you know, spiritual gods, goddesses, mythology, fairy tales, stories, legends, all in this particular deck. And it comes with a guidebook, but you also can buy a separate book for this one that tells the stories. So the guidebook just goes into, you know, how to read the card in the upright or the reverse, but I actually bought the stories, and the stories are so cute. And each one of these decks is a different story. Each one of these cards is a different story. This is from Africa, Anansi. Everybody knows in Africa, a lot of people know about Anansi the spider, the trickster spider, you know. It takes on a lot of different stories, a lot of different forms, a lot of different myths. So, like I said, no matter who I'm reading, from whatever part of the world they're from, they're going to see something in these cards that represents themselves, their ancestors, their stories. And you would be surprised. Representation matters. A lot of people don't realize that, but it really does. And it speaks to people on a different level. I can use any deck to read someone, but depending upon who I'm reading, something like this is going to touch them because they're going to see themselves in the cards. To me, that's always been, I know for me, you know, it's not, I'm sure it's not everybody, but I know for me, that's always been a big thing. So whenever I go to read anybody, I can use this beautiful deck. It is so beautiful. The artwork is amazing. All right, let's go on to number 2. Number 2 says Justice. This is a deck that you use to make decisions. Now, this one is very unique because I had this one custom made, okay? First of all, the deck itself is called the African Tarot. It's a very small deck, okay? And let me show you some of the images. The images look like that. And the backs look like that. Now, this little deck, let me turn this around so I can show these to you. This little deck I bought on Amazon, right? And the problem with it is that, let me see, I gotta get this in line. There you go. The problem with it was that it was too little. It was the smallest thing I've ever seen in my life, but it was so cute. And I was like, oh, the African Tarot is adorable. But I'm never going to be able to use it because I can't really shuffle it comfortably. I have a problem with decks that are too small, probably because my hands are big. So I have a good friend that does, among other things, making creative things. So when I told her about the issue that I was having, she said, well, how about if I take your African Tarot and make it into these little tiles, right? Now, as you can see, I'm trying to get a good thing for you guys. I got so many crystals on the table. There you go. Let me move some of them out of the way. I think that will help us. Check out my Cabbage Patch Kid. Still trying to come up with a name for her. And Yoda, Baby Yoda, Grogu. So she took my African Tarot, right? She cut it into these circles. And she used resin. That's what's over top of this. Let me show you up close. Resin. With like a glitter. You can see the glitter there. And made the most unique 78, I'm going to call them tokens. I don't know what she calls them. I call them tokens. Yeah, her name is Lady Mage. For anybody that's interested, you can Google her. Lady Mage. She has her own website and she makes all kind of things. But she custom made these for me. So basically, she took the resin, the glittery resin, and she cut the card into a circle and she put it inside. So now they're indestructible. They're indestructible and they're cool. So why do I use these for justice for number 2? Well, when it's time to make a decision, I throw all of them into this bag. This is the bag they came in, dusty, dirty bag, but I still use it. And I just shake them up. And then I take my hand, I put my hand inside of the bag. I spin it around a little bit, you know, shake up the bag. I don't want to make too much noise, so I ain't gonna do too much. And then I just pull out a card. Now, however it comes out, look at that. It came out the King of Wands in reversed. So whatever my question is, here's the King. Get a good look at him if you want to see him. So whatever my question would have been, the answer would be the King of Wands in reverse. And she did these by hand. She wrote them out by hand, cut them by hand, everything. So every time I need to make a important decision, I pull out this bag, I shake it up, and I sit and focus. It takes me a long time to go through this process because I really meditate and focus because I really want to get the right tokens. And then I just pull some out and I do a spread with them. I'll be like mind, body, spirit, clarity, or AM, noon, PM, and I'll just do a spread with them. Or I'll just say, what do I need to know right now? And just pull out, what do I need to know right now? This is what I need to know, y'all. Ooh, that I am the Empress. All right. Now, you saw it came out like that, right? So that means I'm going into the upright. And that is true. Things are getting better in my life as far as like my fruitfulness and things like that. And there's our Empress. So what do I need to know right now? That my ship is coming in. My life is improving every freaking day. And I love it. So that's how I would answer a question, just like that. So that is it's a very unique deck. But this deck is for sale. Ooh, I knocked over our Cabbage Patch Kid. This deck is for sale. The last time I looked, now mind you, that was 6 years ago. But the last time I looked, it was on sale on Amazon. So if you're looking for that deck, start there. It's called the African Tarot. And if you want to make your own or get somebody to make them for you, those are extremely useful. Number 3. Our third deck should be Fortitude. This is a deck that pulls no punches. This deck is not playing with you, okay? And for that deck, I have this one. The Elemental Wisdom Tarot. Anybody that has this deck, you're going to be like, really? That one? And you would think not, seriously, because honestly, it's a pretty deck. It's one of those decks I would refer to as pretty. But this deck does not play with me. Let me pull this forward. It pulls no punches. The looks on the people's faces, you know exactly, even if you don't read tarot and have no idea what these cards mean, you can look on her face and tell it's something pretty serious. It's pretty serious. It's going down, right? You can tell by the look on her face. And this deck does not play with me. This deck is not the deck I pull out when I want to hug, okay? When I want a deck that's going to be like, it's okay, don't worry. Let me look at the details, right? That's why it surprises me, because I did not expect that from this deck. This deck is so pretty and beautiful, and you can tell. Let me get up on it, and you can see all the detail. Look at all that detail. And she's a cute mermaid. I mean, like, look at that. Look at the background. So when I first saw this deck, I was not expecting it to be so, manhandly. So handsy with me, okay? This deck handles me. So I was very surprised at that. It does not play with me. Everything is beautiful. I love the rain, and, it has that kind of a vibration. But it is not playing, and you can tell exactly what's going on. For me, it's the faces. Look at this guy's face. I'm going to pull it up right there. Look at his face. For me, it's the faces. The faces are how it really talks to me. Like, I can tell he a Knight of Wands. Oh boy. That look on his face, that determination on his face is really what takes me. So yeah, this deck pulls no punches. This deck is not hugging you. This deck is not playing with you. This deck is showing you, yo, is something going on. Here it is, what's going on, and you need to handle it. I love it so much. I do like decks that give me hugs. You're going to see one of my hug decks today. I do like Oracle decks. I'm a big Oracle deck user. I realized from doing these challenges that I don't use tarot that much. I realized that I use tarot for my clients because they have a lot of questions. They want a lot of deep dives, things like that. I realized that with me, I really use Oracle decks for my real spiritual understanding and my daily pulls. Yeah, they're mostly, looking over here, they're mostly Oracle decks. Now, look at that devil. That devil has not come to play with you. If you don't understand what that means, he is not there to play with you, So yeah, this deck does not pull any punches, and that is why I really love it. And that is why it is my Fortitude deck. That's the last one on here. Isn't that something? And it's beautiful. I love the people. That's what made me drawn to it. I saw somebody showing this deck in a video, and I was like, that is beautiful. But I did not realize that it is not just beautiful. It reminds me of a woman. You know, a beautiful woman. You can see her beauty and her hair and her skin. But when you get to know her, there's so much more going on. And that's what I got from that particular deck. Now, Temperance, number 4. Temperance is about perfect pairs. This is 2 decks that go together well as far as you're concerned. Now, a lot of people nowadays do exercises with their tarot. Let me put these down, stop it from shaking. A lot of people do exercises with their tarot that involves more than one tarot deck. I do not do those types of exercises. For my practice, it's really just not practical. I've seen them. They seem awesome. I can see where they would be decent, but I really just have no need for them. So for me, if I pair 2 decks together, it's going to be tarot with an oracle deck. It's not going to be 2 oracles or 2 tarots, you know. It's going to be one or the other to have 2 different influences. So this deck here, let me show this to you. This deck here I got on Etsy. I don't know if it's still in print. Look at the water all over it. My goodness. Let me wipe it off, guys. My goodness. So anyway, the Afro Goddess Tarot Arcanas. This was the first edition. I got this on Etsy years ago. As you can see, she autographed it for me, and you can't even see what it says anymore. You know, I've had it so long. And it's a beautiful deck. I don't know if it's still in print. It's very unique. And when I use this deck, I pair it with this deck. Not always, but when I feel spicy, I do pair these together. Now, you're getting ready to see why. This is the tarot. And now I'm going to get out some of these. First of all, their names are so similar. You know, Afro Goddess and African Goddess. Of course, we got big similarities there. But check this out, right? This tarot deck is fierce, honey. Okay, look at my girl fierce. My girl's so fierce. And I love the way it pairs with this one, because this one is fierce too. But this one, I feel like very similar vibration, but I feel like this one has more sensuality to it. So remember I said I like to pair things that are opposite, right? So they have a similar vibration because of the theme and the artwork. I'll give it that. But this one seems to me to be more like of a sensual vibration, whereas the other one seems to be more of a regal, fierce vibration. So they're not exactly opposites. They do have some cards that are very similar, but I love that. Ya Asantewa is what they called me in Ghana. It means Queen Mother born on Thursday to rule and conquer. Ya Asantewa is a real figure from history. And when I was in Ghana, they told me I reminded them of Ya Asantewa. So as you can see, I love the way these go together, you know. Very similar, you know, Afrocentric vibration, goddess vibration, family vibration, you know, beautiful. These are glossy and, you know, a little different with that vibe, of course. But I just was like, wow, man, the celebration of Africa and her children is really what I get from here. I love this. Isn't this awesome? If you don't have this one in your collection and you're into this type of art, I strongly recommend it. Yeah, but like I said, you know, they have a similar energy, but you can see where they go in different directions with it. And I like that. And I like where they go in the similar directions too. So in some places it's very similar and some places it's very different. But I pair them together very often. And I think the beauty of them is just unparalleled. Just gorgeous. Like, who did this art? Like, really? And it's unfortunate. I hope that anybody who... Let me pick these up because I'm going to finish showing one than the other. So, more of the tarot. Look at her. Gorgeous, huh? Like, just gorgeous. I love this pairing together. And you do have sensuality here. I would never say you don't. I mean, look at even her. Like, all of them. All the women are very beautiful, very sensual, you know. But I love that. I love how they bring more of that, you know, regal energy and family. Like, you don't see much family energy in the African Goddess Rising. It is mentioned, of course, but you don't see as much. You see a lot more family vibrations in the tarot. The African Goddess, for me, is like talking to my aunties. I always say that. It's like going to have a powwow with your favorite aunties about what you need to do to get yourself together. You know, that's what it reminds me of. And the two of these together, you know, the aunties and the regal sensuality and, you know, all that together for me is a very powerful reading. So, yes, I love to put the African Goddess Rising with the other one. So yeah, if you go on Etsy, wait a minute, let me move this. I don't want that thing. For some reason, my tripod, as soon as I move my hand, my tripod starts to wiggle. I gotta find something a little sturdier for this setup. So those my perfect pair. Now I'm going to show you my spiritual deck. This is a deck that I go to. This is Faith, it says here. And this is a deck that we go to when we need some spiritual advice. Okay? And you guys already know that I am a priestess of Mayat. Mayat is the ancient Egyptian spiritual system. So, when I want some information from the gods and goddesses, I have chosen, and I could really work with any deck I want to, but I use this one. I really do want more Egyptian decks, but this is the one that I use. As you can see, the box is beat up, but this is the one I use for my spiritual. There we go. Ooh, look at that gold, y'all. My goodness. Wow, it really comes up, right? This is what I use for my spiritual questions. When I want to talk to Goddess Aset, when I want to talk to Heru, when I want to talk to Tahuti, this is where I go. And I'm like, got questions. And I like using it because this is images, real images from ancient Kemet. So the spirits and, you know, the energies, the gods and goddesses that I'm working with are familiar with these images. So for me, I was like, oh, that's awesome, you know? So that's why I use this one as a priestess of Mayat, initiated under Goddess Aset. It made sense to me to use something that they would be familiar with. And these are really pretty. I use them a lot. I love the gold foiling that's on them. They're not expensive. I think they're on Amazon for like 20 bucks or something. There's a different versions of it. This is the Nefertari, as you saw, but there's different versions. But I'm going to get more. I love that look. Now we're going to talk about the deck that gives me hope. This is the deck that I can go to for a hug. After that other one has beat me up, I can pull out this one if I so choose and get a hug. I have a lot of hug decks, but this is just one of my favorites. This deck is called the Strawberry Tarot. I got deck number 261. You can find this beautiful deck on Etsy. The creator is a doll. Love her. Talk to her all the time on Instagram. She's on Instagram. And her deck is the cutest thing. So when I need a hug, when my other decks have beat me down, I go get the Strawberry Tarot because I like the mermaids. I just like the feminine energy of it. It has the sweetest energy, and it's not like the aunties really dig in your back. Okay, this deck doesn't so much dig in your back. Okay, that's why I said it's a hug. It's a real sweet hug. It is like, oh, my sister. It's like a sister deck. It's like, oh, my sister, you fell down again. Come on, get up, sweetie pie. I love how the Empress is always naked, fat, and pregnant. I love that about her, just that richness. And since I pulled her today, I'm really feeling that. But yeah, I love this deck. It just has a softness to it, and I feel like it's my sister. like the advice I would want my sister to give me is how this deck comes off. There's a lot of nudity in this deck. I love the choices in this deck, the multicultural choices in this deck. I love this deck. I love the outfits. I reviewed this deck on my channel if you want to see the whole thing. Most of these decks I've reviewed on my channel. Actually, not all of them, but most of them. You see the tattoos, and is that a guy and a girl, or is that two women, or is that two guys? Like I'm thinking it's two women, and that's what it looks like to me. But yeah, I mean, like it's just a sweetness to it. And look at the shoes. A lot of them have on these lace up shoes. The creator told me she likes those a lot. I think they're very attractive, so I thought that was cool. But yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of, like, my girlfriends, the sisterhood, that's what it reminds me of. So when I need my girlfriends, when I need, that kind of therapy, all women know, if you have girlfriends, you know about that kind of therapy. Yeah, and I feel like, that's what I get. So I pulled this one out. And I'm like, okay, all right, my girl's got me. So I really do love that. That is one of my favorites. And another thing I like about this deck before I put it away is the backing. Love the back. Awesome backs. All right, last deck. Time for us to get going. The last one is the deck I would gift. Okay, if I had to gift anybody, especially a newbie, but not even a newbie, it can be somebody who's read for 1,000,000 years. If I had to gift somebody a deck, it would be this one. This is called the Good Karma Tarot. And I'm going to show you real quick a few of the cards and tell you why. The reason why I would gift this deck is because this is a beautiful deck that is the easiest. I mean, it is the easiest. Look at this. Beautiful, most diverse. I mean, this deck is so easy to read. The way that they did these images, I swear you don't have to be able to read tarot to know what's going on. Maybe to do some of the more, intense, spreads or things like that. But just to pull like one card and just look at where you are, if you pulled a star, come on. You're clearly fine. Have hope, have faith, everything is good. And the looks on their faces, the only thing I don't like about cards like this is the glare, when you're trying to photograph them. But this is beautiful. I would definitely gift this to anyone who was into tarot and was like, hey, you know what? I want a deck for Christmas. Oh, yeah? Say no more. Say no more. The size is perfect. They're not too big. They're not too small. They have older people in here. See the little gray hairs in the front? She's about my age, about 45. Interracial families. I love diversity. Don't be racist. I hate that. I just hate that. And I love to see that this deck is like promoting, it's promoting everybody, the world. I love that. I love that so much. So yeah, I think this is a beautiful deck, and this is the one. Let me show you this picture. This is the one I would gift anybody and everybody. So thank you for watching my video. This is the video response to 7 decks for Heavenly Virtues by Antonia's Bliss. And I hope you come back soon because I got so much more to show you and so much more to say. See you later.